What's up, guys? Up here on another Saturday, working on the race car. Today, I really don't know what we're going to get into. I know some of you find yourself in this position where you know you need to be working on your car, you know you need to be getting some stuff done. There's a ton of stuff to do, but nothing that you can actually complete once you start without it dragging into another week or another day of working on it. On my own personal stuff, I really don't like to start anything unless I can finish it, especially on this car. If I ever start a little project, I want to be able to see it through to the end so I can mark it off the list, you know. But right now I'm at a point on the car where I really can't do that with anything. I'm still waiting on a few select parts where I can continue with my hot side. The titanium for the downpipe, I ordered it last week from Tycon and it shipped. So it'll be here Wednesday. So next weekend, guess what we're going to be doing? That's right, titanium downpipe. And I don't know if I'll be able to finish that all in one Saturday, but we'll try to get it at least marked up. So check that out next Saturday's video, or that's the plan anyway. I will show you this. We did make some headway on the wing. I know I showed you last week how it was mocked up. We got some templates made for us to play with. Just drew them up in CAD, got some laser cut pieces. Just old scrap aluminum. It's clean on that side, but it's scratched up like crazy on that side. But just something we could play with and get an idea of what we need to actually do for the final piece. So this is the passenger side. You can see I bent it, but I overbent it just a little bit. So it does lay flush up here, but you got a little air gap right there. So don't like that. So come over to this side. You like my paper clips holding that thing up, don't you? Come over to this side and we're pretty well where we need to be. Huh, see that? So we're gonna put a Zeus fastener here, and see that's gonna suck it flush to the body. And then we'll probably put one up here. So that's also gonna pull it to the body. And that thing is gonna lay really good like that. So I think that's what we want. Another thing I'm probably gonna change is this little stingray head, or whatever you call it back here. The original template I made. Probably change this design because see this brake line comes right down the tip. And if you look at the tip, it's kind of wonky how it distorts it. So you look down the body right there, that looks really mean going down through there. The body line continues all the way to the back. So that's where we're at on the wing. We'll get this measured up, get the end tweaked a little bit, and then we'll design the deck lid and stuff like that, and supports underneath, and continue on with that process. Another thing I might do today, I know it's a little early on, but we got the scales over here. I might throw the scales underneath it here in a bit and see where we're at. The car has the complete mock-up engine in it with heads, intake. I'm hiccuping like crazy. It's got completely assembled transmission with bell housing, the drive shaft enclosure. Look in here, I've got the balancer, I've got a triple disc clutch, which is more than what I'm going to be using in the car. I've got the oil filter piece, I've got all this stuff that I can throw in the car. Probably going to have about 40 pounds of, or maybe 45 pounds of carbon and Lexan over the whole car. So we can kind of guesstimate that. The engine is probably going to have about 24 pounds worth of hot pipes. That's based on some other, similar headers that I've built and put on the scale. So about maybe 5 or 6 gallons of fluid overall. So we can get a pretty good idea of what the car is going to scale out at, or at least within maybe 150 pounds or so. So I may or may not let you guys know how light it is. We'll see though. So let's get started doing something. Okay, we got the cars on the scale, or the car on the scale. I have cleaned out the cabinet. The car has everything from the valley plate to the waste still in the box, the entire box of FT600 stuff from Fuel Tech. That's the smart coils, everything. This super heavy triple disc steel clutch from Monster, which I'm going to be running a single disc slipper, so that's going to be a lot lighter weight. The slave cylinder, got the balancer, got the oil filter and the housing over there. I don't have my fuel filter housing yet, but that's pretty lightweight. Trying to think of what else, but it's pretty exciting news so far. Check it out. I decided to keep it a secret. But with all that stuff through in there, we are 50-49. The car is pretty balanced front to back right now, which is not going to help the wheelies. So hopefully getting some more weight on the nose when we finish up the hot side and finish getting all the plumbing and stuff there. But we'll still probably have to be adding weight to keep the front down a short wheelbase as it is. So now that I'm pumped about the weight, I forgot that we got these ribbons. Might start welding some of them in the floor for the sheet metal. So let's get started doing something. I'm excited. I want to tell y'all what it weighs so bad, but I would rather wait until a little bit further on to drop the ball on that. And I still might keep it a secret. Who knows? But it's light. Okay, I started to template the floor. I decided to start doing that. So right now I'm going to get this template made of this whole section. I'm going to get it where it goes all the way back here, or really I'm going to get it where it goes all the way to my seat bracket. Probably just notch it right around the seat bracket and goes back here and follows this tube back and notch it around my harness tab there and around all this, because this I'm going to do carbon from here over the rest of the floor section. And this in the middle, I don't know what I'm gonna do about a tunnel or whatever, but the tunnel will take up the rest of this room here, and I will probably, just guessing right now, the tunnel will be tucked really tight to the transmission, and it will have a flange on the bottom of it that comes over, and probably I'll have some ribbons here with some bolts that go down through, and it will come down here and break and then go over here. So I'll still be able to use this area for my foot even though there's no floor there, because the tunnel itself will become the floor. So just kind of thinking out loud. So let's make some templates and see how it goes. Okay, I'm done making my templates. I've noticed every time I come back on the video I say okay. So, when you're making videos you notice some stupid things you do just out of habit. Anyway, I didn't really worry about making exactly, you know, each little piece to lay up on the tube. It's easier just to cut random pieces, overlap them, tape them, make a big, you know, mess basically. But important thing is to fit around everything like you want. See the harness tab here, trimmed around that tube a little bit. It's sitting right on the top crest of the peak of the tubing, all the way down. It stops at the door bracket. I still have to trim that excess out before I cut the piece of metal. Or not the door bracket, I don't know why I said that, the seat bracket. Then it comes along here and runs all the way down. I don't have any tubing up here in this corner yet, but I'm anticipating closing that in for the pedal assembly and stuff, because I literally don't have any room in this thing. I've got my seat as far as it can back. We're basically sitting on the tire and everything is pushed back, and it's still, we're right on top of the transmission. So I'm gonna cut that out there and leave it, because I'm gonna be adding a tube up there to kind of box that in behind the tire. So I made this all one piece. I started to make it two pieces, you might have noticed in the time lapse, but I kind of want it one piece. So what I'm going to do is I made a slot in this that is as wide as the top of this bracket. So when I lay the sheet metal down, I can kind of fish it over that bracket. and then I can come back in and maybe just patch that with a piece of something. But that way all this is one big nice piece and it's all slick looking. Like I said, I'll come from underneath on the spots where the smaller 2-bar and do stitch weld some ribbons, and that'll make everything stay level across and won't have any saggy spots, and it won't be vibrating everywhere. So we're gonna go back here now and see if we have any 24 gauge sheet metal, which I'm not sure if we do or not. Well, let's drop the camera. Ton of production stuff we've been ramping up for our Black Friday sale. If any of y'all know us from years prior, we have one sale per year on our website, and which is Black Friday. So if you're watching this, the 15th through the 30th is when the sale will be. So be ready. It's going to be 15% off. I've not announced it or told anything about it to anybody until just now. Well, my camera thing is broke, my little stand. So we're gonna see what we got here. That is 043. Although we got some thinner stuff than that. You just have to find it. Smart man would wear gloves. One of the little legs off the camera thing just broke and fell off on the pallet that the camera's sitting on. Okay, this is 028. That's what McAmis says. So I might just end up using that since we got some. If I don't unload the whole stack here. Yeah, we're going to use 028. I can feel my finger being sliced open, or my hand. Lord, what a mess. What a mess. There we go. Alright, kill the camera while I fix this stack. I'm using the forklift as a table here. We got a big shipment of boxes in the end of the week, so works out really good for a cutting surface because all of our other tables took up with stuff. So what I'm gonna do now, let's pick up the camera. I ended up taking this end piece off just because I might have to tweak it and it'll be a pain in the butt to have to modify the piece as a whole. So I'm gonna leave the extension where my foot box is for later. So it's pretty much a straight edge down the rocker, besides where it goes around the tubing here, which I'm probably not going to trim that quite that much. So use the straight edges here, put some tape on it. Can't peel tape and hold the camera at the same time. Just going to do this where it doesn't move when I'm tracing around it. See right here, I've got cut out for my seat bracket. And this right here, I'm gonna not trace around that. I haven't trimmed that off yet. So what I'm gonna use to do the trimming is a set of nibblers. That's why you tape it, because your marker will run off your paper and push it side to side. I'm going to leave it just a little bit heavy on the parts that go around the tubing. And these cutouts for the harness and stuff like that, I'll have to do that with a cutoff wheel. Just ain't no way to get a nibbler to do all that. It's asking a little bit much. All right, can't forget our seat bracket here. And that should be it. Off. Lay it over here to the side. And there we have our floor pan. Let's get the nibblers and get this cut out. After some minor tweaking, we've got a pretty good fit. See, our slot in the floor allows us to drop it down over that. It doesn't leave too big of a hole there, really not that noticeable. notched out around our harness tab. Our other harness tab is here. You see the sheet metal sits right on the center of the tube. Sits flush against this. It sits on top of the tube there. On top of the tube all the way here. Then it's trimmed out. Can't see it for the light, but it's notched around that tube. It lays on that one all the way down. So that'll be good. Pretty happy with the way that fits. But you can see how the metal pops up when you put pressure on it. That's because the tube elevations are different. Like I said, I'll go underneath and it'll be welded. I guess the floor will kind of roll over this tube right here because it kind of don't have any choice, but I do want this to be a solid pan, so it's not going to make that big of a difference. It won't even be visible. But I'll stitch the whole perimeter, and then like I said, I'll still go underneath and put the ribbons on the light tubes down through the middle here and bolt them down. That way it doesn't vibrate. And if we ever need to replace the floor pan, we can just come in here and cut the stitch welds out, or cut, you know, just beyond them, take the unbolt the sheet metal from the middle, and then replace the floor pan. So it'll make it a lot easier to replace it if we ever have to, which I don't foresee us ever having to, but you never know. So that's that. I can't think of anything else I can get into really today, so if I do, it'll be at the end of the video. If not, we'll catch y'all next Saturday for the titanium downpipe fab. Later. One last thing I got on my mind before I leave. I'm gonna template some of the carbon pieces, and this is what I'm doing here. I've got one piece down through there, and I'm gonna overlap it just like I did the floor and notch out around the tube areas where it will lay flat on that cross tube that they all tie into. That's what I'm gonna do. And these panels here, I'll have to wait till the wheel tubs are in, but pretty much all of these panels I can template carbon and stuff for. That panel's pretty much done now. See, I used 2 pieces of paper and just taped them together. A lot easier to work with than trying to fit one big piece perfect the first time. I trimmed around my bars here and just used painter's tape to fill in the gaps. You can't really cut a good curve with scissors. You just fill in the gap around the bar, and that's basically what it's going to look like right there. Like I said, these panels, you can see on the side how the wheel tub comes in. It's probably gonna have to have just a little filler panel here and there to get it closed in. Maybe some on the very sides in this area. Just had to see how that works out. That's about all I'm gonna mess with today. Like I said, tune in next Saturday. We'll be doing the downpipe. We've got some cool stuff coming from Tycon Industries, and some pie cuts, some you know, all that stuff. And we're not going to be finishing our downpipe out quite yet, even if we do have time next week, because as far as the tip, we've got something special coming up through one of our buddies on the exhaust tip, because I wanted to be a little bit different. So whenever we get that figured out, I'll show you that. But we'll see how it goes next week. You guys have a good week until next weekend, and I'll see you then.